Hey everybody, it's Mr. Snake Eater, and I am coming with you with an actual special episode. There is going to be no game save footage for this episode, actually. Well, part. Instead, I'm going to show you some bonus material that was added in the game. Now, I believe this is going to take a while, so I'm going to split this up into multiple parts, maybe 3. I don't know. I'm planning on stopping this one around 15 minutes. Then yeah. Anyway, with this said and done, I'm not going to be showing next week the rest of it. Instead, I'm going to be spreading it out. So, instead of just getting it straight on what it is or more content, maybe I should do it straight on. I don't know. Anyway, I thought this would be interesting to add in anyway.
The way I would describe Twisted Metal, a super high-action car combat game, it spoke to this kind of heavy metal, rock and roll, bad 70s, 80s, hard rock album cover art vibe that I've always loved.
Twisted Metal is a lobe in my brain. Hard rockin' car combat at its finest.
Cars would drive around an imaginary city and shoot at each other.
Twisted Metal Universe was never slated to be a very Saturday morning cartoon.
Twisted Metal, on a certain level, is still Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
And a soul to the Twisted Metal universe, and it's American, and it's rock and roll, and it's underdog, and it's scrappy, and it's kind of heavy metal. I started at Sony as a tester right out of college. I had no clue what I was going to go make movies. It was my plan. And I worked on some games for Sony, and then this is actually funny. Me and my design partner at the time were kind of hanging by a thread. I mean, we pissed off all the developers we worked with. We thought we knew everything. We knew absolutely nothing. And our boss called us in when he heard about these guys in Utah who were working for the military, and he says, "Look, I remember this meeting. He's like, look, my feet are at the fire on this with you guys. It's like this is kind of your last chance. Like, don't screw this up."
My thing was when I first got into the industry, and I sat down with David Jaffe, and I was coming from a very conservative engineering development environment, working with government and people that wear suits. It was very refreshing to see all these ideas just come pouring out, and I thought, oh my God, how am I gonna harness this? How am I gonna, try to take this and turn it into a production environment?
We had gotten back from Utah the very first time when we saw this three-dimensional database, and we saw basically what 3D gaming could be, and we were stuck in traffic out by the LA airport. I think it's sort of at least for me, and I hope I'm not making myself crazy here, but I think it's a natural fantasy people have to be stuck in a car in traffic and just want to have missiles and guns on your car.
And I thought, wow, this is so obvious. Hasn't someone else done this? And it was a great pleasant surprise to know that, well, no one has done this. So I was pretty excited, and it was pretty straightforward. So for me, I kind of like the more simple type of game concepts. You kind of see this game for what it was just at the concept levels.
And we were so excited, and we wrote up this big design document, and we sent this off to these guys. And about a week later, the guys in Utah sent us back this document, which was a pizza delivery game.
At the time, that sounded really cool, and it would have been such a disaster because how many times can you sequel a pizza delivery game?
I don't remember how we somehow talked them out of the pizza delivery game. I'm not very articulate now, and I certainly was less articulate then, and it may have simply been me on a phone call going, "Are you out of your mind?"
When the game was shown to Ken Kutaragi out in Japan, and this was towards the end of the game, his comment was, "When are we going to replace these graphics with real graphics?" That feedback got back to us and the team, and we were just like, what the hell? You know, it's like, we don't have time to change these graphics. They are what they are. The other interesting comment that the Japanese had, a request to switch the weapons out for, instead of firing missiles, firing food groups like vegetables and fruit. We were pretty sure that Sony Japan was not real happy with the title.
We had this focus test with these hardcore gamers that came in, and they just tore the game apart. This was towards the end of it. We were about to put it into marketing, get money from marketing to advertise it, and they played it, and it was the whole night they were making fun of it.
Yeah, the description of it was, it's a fighting game in cars. And so the focus test was comprised of hardcore fighting game gamers. And they just didn't really get, you know, how this was a fighting game in cars.
I said, I'm going to start looking for a new job tomorrow because they're going to fire me because this is a disaster. And it turned out not to be. It turned out that we ended up, and I was stunned because somebody told me, "Oh, you guys got Game of the Year," and I'm like, what are you talking about, right? And then it turns out, and I won't mention the magazine because I don't think legally we can, but we ended up getting Game of the Year from the most prestigious game magazine that was out at the time, and I was just, it was amazing that it all actually worked. I mean, this was the first big game I had ever done. It was the first game these guys in Utah had ever made, and we ended up with a game that a lot of people really, really loved, to the point that we were getting these major awards, and so it all worked out. I have no clue how. Maybe we all just got really lucky. I don't know, but it was cool. It was very, very cool.
Congratulations! You have won my contest.
I hated the end movies for Twisted Metal. I just thought they were extremely cheesy.
And you don't know!
I did think that some of them turned out a little too hokey.
I am the winner, and you are my prize.
If the movies somehow had wound up in the game, it might have hurt Twisted Metal 1.
I didn't realize any of this at the time. I thought I was making, you know, my calling card into Hollywood.
You'll drive forever. What do you say, Mr. Cage? Sounds good to me, baby.
They were terrible stories, and they were terribly written.
I think that was part of the charm and appeal to them. But you know, first and foremost, I think some of the content was, you know, very offensive to some of the people on the team.
We want
And the guys in Utah just hated them, and thought they were offensive and terrible. And
we basically had to, you know, do the damage control to make sure that, you know, we ended up with a great product. But you know, unfortunately, the movies were one of the casualties of that.
I was upset because no one was going to see my masterpiece of hot, sexy women standing around a crumpled, Twisted Metal car and, you know, spouting off stupid lines like, "Here's your paper bag, sweet tooth."
Oh, man. Give me that. Give me! A paper bag? You can't be serious.
I think for what they are, they're really fun and campy, and they add to it, but, you know, they never quite saw the light of day, and that's, I was really disappointed at the time. Now I can look back and be grateful that it was actually a really good lesson that I should never be a film director, and I should never, ever get behind a movie camera, because only bad things can happen. We thought Twisted Metal 1 was a flop. We didn't know if we had careers left at Sony.
Luckily, it was good enough to warrant a sequel, and that's when we were able to really kind of pull out all the stops and do a lot of things that we wanted to do with the first version.
We really, you know, were excited to get into the second one because then we felt like we knew, you know, really how to make it the game that we wanted to play.
We knew that Sony wanted to do a sequel, and I know Jaffe, Michael Jackson and I were really excited to basically put in a lot of the things that we didn't do and improve on a lot of the things that really sucked in Twisted Metal 1. The darkness, the graphics, the controls, the list goes on.
And so we were like, okay, we have to fix this. We have to fix everything that we screwed up in the first place, which means, you know, we went so far as to say, let's forget them being cars. Let's make them hover cars because they'll be easier to control.
We talked about hovering cars and cars with insect legs, you know, that could climb up buildings and things like that.
Let's make them insects because insects don't move as fast and they can't get, you know, caught on objects. I mean, we were looking, we would go into like stores and watch people play the game on kiosks. And you know, they were banging into walls, they were going too fast, and it really wasn't a very pick-up-and-play game. We thought that was the reason we were getting such bad focus test and play test. And so we were doing everything we could to sort of remedy that. We even said, let's forget the car combat, let's do missions. Like you're a car and you've got missions like, you know, a secret agent, but you're in a car. And then the reviews started to hit, and then the sales started to come in, and then the people on what at the time were sort of the BBSs and the sort of the beginnings of the internet started to sort of write about, oh my God, this game is awesome.
Twisted Metal moment, probably a lot of people feel this way, is when the Eiffel Tower came down for the first time.
The Paris level was probably one of the bigger or more popular levels, mainly because, you know, of the, you know, you could drop the Eiffel Tower and it would open up kind of a whole other level, which was the rooftops of the Paris buildings. And, you know, it was something that was just such a cool level that we all wanted to try to make it work. I just kind of, you know, it was actually during a single track staff meeting that during the whole staff meeting, I just started off with kind of a grid with some angled streets, and then, you know, put the Eiffel Tower. And the question was, could we afford this? It kind of became a mission for us to make this level work. I remember when you looked at the level and we started reviewing it, and I remember Jaffe saying, dude, if you could make this thing work the way that you're saying it could work, we got to do it. I have to say, because of the graphic style, I never really thought that there was any sensitive nature up until a member of the French press came to Singletrack to look at some of the levels, and he was quite offended when he saw the Eiffel Tower go down. It kind of just fueled everybody to kind of get more wacky and destroy more sensitive type of icons. And we try to get that gameplay and the dynamics and everything working as early on in the process as we can. That way we get gameplay kind of leading the development and production charge, and that, you know, in our case, that's always first and foremost, gameplay, gameplay, gameplay.
I loved working on the mechanics of Twisted 2. I love the idea of, can we build depth into the gameplay? Can we build strategy into the level design? I thought that was really, really exciting.
I think all those things factored into it as, you know, making it the best of the series. Doing
I say we end it there for now. I might be continuing to talk next week, or I might be going with some more levels. Who knows? I certainly don't know. I have not been planning. I was actually originally planning on showing the whole thing when I was halfway through the game, so who knows what I'm going to be doing next, because I don't even know. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys later.